Hello everybody and welcome to my January reading wrap up. I don't know if anybody else has felt this way, but January has felt like it's been 3 months long, especially because I've read 8 books in the month of January, which is kind of unheard of. I usually read a lot more in October because those are my spooky reading months. I read 8 books in January. I tell you, it felt like 3 months of my time, but I'm so excited to go through all of these with you guys. I'll go ahead and put some of my stats right here in case you guys are interested. This is something new that I want to try, but I definitely think it'll be fun to kind of see the different months and see what's going on, and maybe I'll even do it quarterly as well. But yeah, 8 books. Look at these. Just a stack. Just a stack. But let's go ahead and get started. Sorry about the lighting. I'm just using all natural lighting, so it's kind of like shooting me in the face here, but like, that's fine. So the first book I actually finished on January 1st. I started it in December, but that's okay, is Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I was really interested in reading this one and I wanted to read it like almost as soon as I bought it, and I ended up giving this 4 stars. This was very, very spooky. So if you read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, it kind of follows along the same situation. It's about this couple. They are essentially a newlywed couple. They are new parents. They just had a baby and they win the housing lottery in New York City, and they get to live in this penthouse that they just absolutely cannot afford. But they win the housing lottery. This apartment building is very old and they still do that. So they get to live in this penthouse. But here's the catch. They only have 1 elevator, which is really creepy, and they have a bunch of stairs. And the woman is in a wheelchair because she had a very traumatic birth, and it's a fresh baby. So it's very fresh on her mind. She's in a wheelchair. She's going through a ton postpartum because not only does she feel like she can't really connect with her child, which is incredibly normal, but giving birth ruined her body basically. So she's going through a lot mentally, and they have this apartment and it's very creepy. A lot of really weird creepy things happen. They don't really see their neighbors too much. They only really get to interact with the staff, the person that runs the elevator and the concierge, and they're both just really creepy. They love the apartment, they love the view, but things just slowly start to get weird, including late at night they find bite marks on their baby. I felt like the ending, it was good, it wrapped up well, but I don't know. If you read this book, I personally don't agree with what the main character did in the end. But I thought it was a good time. I can't wait. I actually really want to read the Mary, An Awakening of Horror, which was also by Nat Cassidy. I believe that was Nat Cassidy's debut. It came out last year. I want to pick that up too because I had such a good time with Nestlings. And I mean, the cover alone is just so creepy. I really enjoyed it. Next, I read Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the 2nd book in the Caraval trilogy. And, okay, so I gave this one, what did I say, 3.5. I loved this. So I really enjoyed Caraval. Caraval is you follow these 2 sisters, and essentially you're following the one sister, and Caraval is this big magical game where you have to sort of figure out all these clues and get to the end. Once you get to the end, you get like a special magical wish, and the wish, like, this is a very fantasy kind of situation, so the wish can come true. At the end of Caraval, it definitely leads up to like a cliffhanger type ending, so I was really excited to get into Legendary. And for Legendary, you're following a new kind of MC, and I preferred this MC a lot better because I felt like they were more adventurous versus in the first book, Scarlett, who is the main character, was more apprehensive. She was more of like a romantic, and so when she was playing the game Caraval, she wasn't really playing the game without her heart. She was playing with her heart. She was like very just romantic and whatever, but this main character was adventurous, was wanting to do all of the things. So you were in a new spot because Caraval moves all the time and you never know where it's going to be or when it's going to be. And so you're in a new spot, you're meeting new people, you're following new things. And I was really excited to read this one because in this one you meet kind of one of the main characters that's in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That's why you're supposed to read this one first, or like the Caraval trilogy first, but regardless. I had such a good time with this. Dante, who is one of the main guys in this book, was just so good. I was obsessed with him. The ending was crazy. I felt like I could predict the ending, but like, here's the thing. This book is like, it's more of a fun time than it is like, oh, I want to know what the end is. Like, it's more of, you're just enjoying the ride. Even though you know what the end is, it's like, I'm still happy to be here. And it was a great time, and it made me really excited to read finale. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. Maybe next month, I don't know. I just like, sometimes I like to really savor series, especially ones that I really enjoy. So I'm excited to read finale, but Legendary was just so much fun and I had a really good time with it. 3.5 stars. Next book I also gave 3.5 stars. This is Across the Green Grass Fields by Shawnee McGuire. This is, I don't know, the 6th book in the Wayward Children series. I love this series so much, and the newest book just came out this month and I'm so excited because I have 2 more and then the newest. Can't wait. So this one we are following Reagan, which was so fun. And in this book, all of these books are like standalones, except for sometimes it's kind of nice to know some of the characters, but we had never met Reagan before. And in this book, you follow her into her world. So you're not at the Wayward School, you're with her. And so she, as a child, feels like something's different. She feels like things are different, and she kind of confesses these differences to a friend, and the friend kind of turns on her and starts to bully her, so Reagan runs away from school. And as she's running away from school, she's like running home, but she has to run through the woods to run home. She sees a door. She goes through the door and she goes into, I believe it's the grasslands? Hooflands. She goes into the Hooflands, and the Hooflands are filled with unicorns and centaurs and all of these like wonderful adventurous creatures. And she kind of meets up with the centaurs and learns the politics of the world and learns about the queen and how every time a human comes into this world, that means something major is about to happen. So like they're all very like anxious about what's gonna happen and what this human's gonna do. And it was just like a really fun little adventure. This one definitely felt more soft than the other ones. I felt like the other ones almost felt like, I mean, it's hard to say because the other ones felt like more high stakes. This one wasn't as high stakes. It was very medium stakes. And it was like such an easier read. It was a sweeter read. I almost feel like if I was gonna give, if I was gonna give any of the Wayward Children's books to one of my kids to read first, of course I would start with the first one, but I feel like this one would be just an easy standalone to give them to read because it just felt more middle grade than it did anything else. I did still give it 3.5 stars because I love this little fantasy world we're in here, but I can't wait to keep going. The next book that I read was my book of the month pick for January, and that was First Line Wins by Ashley Elston. I feel like all of the books are like black this month, which was kind of cool. So yes, this was my book of the month pick for January. If you want to sign up for book of the month, I will put my referral link down below. Definitely check it out. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This was the thriller pick. Love the cover, by the way. The lime green is always so fun. And this was a thriller, but to me this felt more like a spy novel, which I've never really read before. But you're following your main character, what is her name? Evie Porter. And she is, I don't know, I want to say kind of like a spy, essentially. I don't know her exact job. A hit woman? Maybe. But she gets assigned jobs, and because she gets assigned these jobs, she gets assigned like a persona, a background, everything. So she's never herself. And so she is in this assigned role to be with this guy, to be his girlfriend, and to kind of figure out more about his life. But she doesn't know everything right away. Everything kind of comes in waves from her big main boss. And so she's with this guy, she's doing her job, they go to this country club, and she meets a woman whose name is her real name and whose background is her real background. And she's like, no, wait a second, what's happening here? What's happening here? Why are you pretending to be you? But she can't be like that because she's a spy. So then you kind of follow along in her journey on like figuring out what the heck is going on. That's weird. And it's really fun. I did really like this. Looking back at it now, in retrospect, when I first finished it, I was like, that was a good time. I thought this was really well written. I felt like the storyline was really interesting. The pace was really fast. Like you're following really quickly through this story. And I liked all the little twists and turns. I liked them a lot because I also liked the author kind of leads you down this one path and you're like, okay, this makes sense. And then it doesn't. And then everything's just off. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. I like when books do that. I like when you think you know what's going on and you think you bested an author, but then they get you. I like that, especially in thrillers. So First Line Wins was very good. I really enjoyed this by Ashley Elston. I had a good time with this one. Next, we had my first 5-star of the year. And don't be shocked, it's a Riley Sager, The Last Time I Lied. I don't know why I was putting this one off, man. This was so good. And here's the thing, I was gonna give it 4 stars like the whole book until the very end. And I was like, oh baby, this is a 5-star book. I loved this. I'll give you my definitive Riley Sager ranking here in a moment, but The Last Time I Lied. Okay. Oh, I have no words. This book is so good. So you're following Emma. And here's the thing about Riley Sager. I feel like in all of his books, he does like you're following a past, the person in the past and the person in the future. You're following Emma in the future. She's living in New York City. She's a painter. She's an artist. She is having her first gallery. And a person approaches her. Hey. And they're like, wait, I know you. They get back to talking. And she invites her to go back to the summer camp to be a chaperone where she was when she was like 13. And a big, crazy, wild thing happened. So she, when she was 13, went to the summer camp. Camp Nightingale? Sounds right. And she was in a room with 3 older girls named Vivian, Natalie, and Allison. And one night, those 3 girls, poof, vanished, went missing. And Emma was the only one left. They could never find them, never found the bodies, nothing. No one knows what happened to them. And now here she is, like I said, years and years later. She's gonna go back as a chaperone, but she's gonna go back because she's like, I'm gonna find these girls. I'm gonna find out what happened to them. Because she's going through it. She sees the Vivian, who is like the main girl. The whole time I was picturing Regina George. She was the main girl. And she just keeps picturing Vivian everywhere. And she's like, I know I need to find these girls. I have to find them. So she's going back to Camp Nightingale to both chaperone and figure it out, what happened to them. So you're following her now, kind of trying to figure things out. But you're also following her then, before it all happened. Before it all happened, you're meeting the 3 girls. You're seeing the life at the summer camp. You're seeing like weird things. And it's just, it's so good. My only regret is not reading this during the summer because it was just so good. And the ending just made so much little sense in my pea brain. I was like, oh my gosh, I knew it. It makes so much sense. This was so good. 5 stars. Definitive Riley Sager ranking. My number 1 is still Home Before Dark. Love that one. Then Last Time I Lied. Then House Across the Lake. Then Lock Every Door, then Final Girls. I have 2 more to read before his newest comes out in June. I have to read Survive the Night and The Only One Left. I can't wait. I'm gonna do Survive the Night first and then The Only One Left since that's the newest. And then I can't wait for the newest one to come out in June. I'm just such a Riley Sager stan. This book just, I almost want to reread it because the ending was so good. So 5 stars, loved this. I finally was like, you know what, I need to read something a little smutty because after reading Legendary, I was like, I need a little bit of smut because Dante was just so hot. And then of course after Legendary, I was like, let me read a book about a child. Let me read a couple thrillers. And then I was like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm finally ready. So I was like, you know what, let's read Icebreaker. I heard this was smutty and I really wanted to get into the Maple Hills series because I know there's 2 other books, or there's 1 other book, another one coming out this year. This is by Hannah Grace. Picture's cute. Cute little romance. Pretty long romance, not gonna lie, it's almost 400 pages. What did I give this? 3 stars. I knew exactly what I was doing when I picked this up. I knew this was gonna be smutty. I wasn't expecting it to be like pre-smutty, and it wasn't. But like, I just needed a little bit. This was cute. This was such a cute romance. Like, I loved the 2 main characters. You're following Anastasia, and what's his name? Nate? I almost said Noah. Nate. Okay, so she's an ice skater. He's a hockey player. Something happens where one of their rinks gets messed up by a rival hockey team, so they end up having to share a rink at this college, this Maple Hills college, and they're enemies. They hate each other because of it, but he has a crush on her and she's just kind of an ice princess. She got a little bit of an attitude. She's a little sassy. She's playing her girl. It's cute, and I love that about her. I just loved how like sassy she was. It was just so nice to see the grumpy sunshine trope, but she was grumpy because that's me and I love it. So she was grumpy, he was like a golden retriever. I just loved them. They were so cute and they were so realistic too. And that's the thing, like sometimes in a romance, I don't feel like the relationship is realistic. Now here's the thing, the smut, not realistic. That was weird. I was like, well, that wasn't weird. The smut wasn't as realistic, but maybe it was, I don't know, that's just not something I've experienced. But otherwise the romance was really cute. Another thing I really liked about this is that there is no major 3rd act conflict. There's a lot of conflicts throughout, but they get solved within like a couple of chapters. So that's really nice. I also like that you get introduced to so many different characters because you know she's setting it up for a full series here. But you get to meet a bunch of different people. A lot of the people have like the same name or like close to the same name. So that was a little difficult for me. There was like a Russ and something else. It was like a Russ and a Robbie, and I kept getting them confused because the R names just kept like sliding together for me. but I really liked it. I like it. It was a hockey romance. It was my first sports romance that wasn't crap. This was really good. I get the hockey romance stuff now. I get the team thing. I think it's really cute. I can't wait. I already picked up the second one, which is called Wildfire. It's about like Russ going to summer camp, which I'm excited for. That's why I was thinking of the name Russ. I liked this. This was cute. This was realistic. The ending was rushed, but everything else was good about it, and I really liked it. Then I got my little romance out of the way and I said, okay, let's get back to horror. I have so many horror books on my physical TBR and I'm like real excited to get to all of them this year. So I picked up one that I bought recently, and that is Daphne by Josh Malerman. I have been wanting to read a Josh Malerman book for a really long time because Gabby Reads talks so highly, and I know he's coming out with another book this year that sounds so scary. So I have been wanting to read Daphne for a bit. It's a really short, quick horror, which I kind of love, and this cover is real spooky. I gave this one 4 stars. Well, 3.75, I rounded up. This book, you're following kind of a bunch of different people, but mainly Kit. And Kit is on this high school basketball team, and there's this like urban legend that they kind of remember about this woman named Daphne. And if you even think about her, you don't have to say her name. If you're even constantly just thinking about her, she comes and kills you. And that's like the whole urban legend. And the story got passed around the night before a big game, and then of course all of the girls kind of start thinking about her, and then things start happening to these girls. And at first, you know, Kit really talks about her anxiety a lot. She writes in a journal and she talks about how she has anxiety, and you think, or at least I thought the whole time, that Daphne, the entity, would be kind of like a reference to her anxiety. It would be just like a symbol for her anxiety the whole time. Oh no, Daphne is real. And Daphne is so scary, and it was like actually genuinely scary because the whole time you think, you know, like they like, you know how kids are, they toss around these stories and it's a game of telephones. You think you know it, you know, because you're based on what your friend told you. You think you know the story of Daphne and how Daphne became Daphne, but then you get the real story and it's like so much worse. I'm like, oh, I didn't want this at all. It was very scary. I really liked it. I liked the description of her. She's this like 7-foot tall girl. You never can see her face because she has like kiss makeup on, and she wears this like denim jacket, and she always smells like alcohol and smoke, and I don't know, it was a really cool thing. I will say the ending though, I low-key would like a prequel to this because I want more information on the ending. If you've read this, you probably understand the ending is wrapped up fine, but I need more info because I don't, some of it didn't make a lot of sense. So I needed a little bit more. So I gave this 4 stars. I can't wait for the new Josh Malerman to come out. And if you have read any other Josh Malerman books and you recommend those to me, let me know, because I had a good time with Daphne. It was very fun. Last but not least, this is a book that I'm not going to shut up about for the rest of my life. I've talked about Dead Silence a lot. It's a great book. This book, it's right there with it. I am never going to stop thinking about this book. I will recommend this book to anybody that wants to read something like this. This is my 6th star. My first like 6th star of the year. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, otherwise known as Shauna Maguire. This is a big one. Daphne's 200 pages. It's a big book. Why have I not read this sooner? This was so good. Horror book, killer mermaids. Everything. Space and the ocean. 2 things that absolutely scare the crap out of me. Make for the perfect horror books. Okay, so in this book, once again, I gotta get real comfortable for this because we're chatting. In this book, again, you're following multiple people. That can be kind of hard. It was very difficult for me at first. First of all, you start off instantly killer mermaids. You don't have to wait. They're there, babe. Instantly. You start off with like 15 years earlier. You're on this ship called the Atargus. It gets taken down. It's a research ship going out to the Mariana Trench above Challenger Deep to see if mermaids exist. Not only do they exist, they are killer mermaids. So in this first like 3 chapters, the Atargus is taken down, people are missing, people are gone. It was all through this network called Imagine. People are gone, dead, gone, deceased. It's all in video. The video though, everyone's like, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. So we're like, however many years later, it's a hoax, it's not real. So Imagine's like, okay, I'm gonna send out another, essentially cruise liner out with a ship full of scientists. and we're gonna show you that this is real. And a few of the people on the ship that you go with a girl who is a scientist. They're all scientists. A woman who's a scientist whose sister died on the initial Atargus. You follow her, you follow a news anchor, you follow a mermaid specific scientist and her kind of like estranged husband who essentially runs the network. You follow these two like big game hunters who this like getting a mermaid like would be the biggest thing they've ever killed. You follow so many different people and it can be kind of confusing, but it is amazing. Like the mermaids are there from the gate. You don't have to wait for anything. You 20 pages in and they're getting slaughtered. It's just chef's kiss. And here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. I'm not good with science. So there's a lot of scientific terms in here. There's a lot of sonar, listening to the ocean and getting pictures of this and doing water samples and filtering this. And I don't know what any of that means, but I was eating it up. Eating it up. I don't know. What are oceanographs? Are they real? I don't know. But I'm eating it up. It was just so good. It was so good. This book and Dead Silence are just, they just have a special place in my heart. I love them so much. If you've read any Killer Mermaid books, please recommend them to me. I know there's a prequel to this where you actually in depth follow the first boat. I don't know if it's only on Kindle. I looked on Amazon and it was listed for like $1,000 and I'm like, it has to only be on Kindle because there's no way I'm not spending $1,000 on that. I just really love this book, okay? I really love this. And as soon as I finished it, I looked at Brian and I said, if you don't read this book within the next month, we're through. No, I'm kidding, but it was so good. That was the, holy smokes, the 8 books that I read in January. I had such a good reading month. This was like one of the best reading months I've had in such a long time. These books are literally amazing. I had 2 5 stars. And just a bunch of good times, So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry about the end there. I get real passionate sometimes. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye guys.